views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everybody, good evening. It's Gary Axelbank. We're here for the Bronx Buzz, and I am really excited tonight. You know, we normally bring in hardcore journalists to talk to in our little Bronx roundtable every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. But tonight, we're adding the word photojournalist, and these two are, in my mind, not only dear friends of mine, but maybe the best photojournalists in the borough of the Bronx. And so you're going to really enjoy, number one, learning about them and learning about their craft and how they look at their craft, but also seeing some beautiful photographs of our hometown and maybe some places beyond as well. Adi Talwar, so nice to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Walter Popfeld, so nice to have you with us. What I really like about this particular moment, it's the first time I think I'm looking at either of them and they don't have something like this in front of their face looking back at me or like telling me, move over there or turn to the left or whatever it is. So nice to have you both on the show. It really, really is a pleasure. So we're going to look in the second half of the show, we're going to look at some incredibly gorgeous photographs. So stay where you are, don't go away. But for now, we're going to find out who the heck is Adi Talwar? Who are you? Adi, you are from where?
I'm from India originally, and from the north of India.
I'm going to fire questions at you. And when did you come here to the States?
2001.
2001, 15 years ago.
Yes.
Were you a photographer before you got here?
So photography was always the seductress on the side. I was a model maker.
Does your wife know? She probably at this point does. Yes.
Yeah, I was a professional model maker, and I made
model maker, like
sets and props for advertising and architectural models. So both me and my wife, we did that for a very, very long time.
Wow. Yeah. And when did you pick up a camera?
So professionally,
you did pick up a camera.
Yeah, I did pick up a camera. Yeah, so professionally, I picked up a camera somewhere around 2009, 10, 11, somewhere there in that range. I did one assignment, and then for the local newspaper, I still shoot for the Norwood News, and that's how it started out. In fact, I'd actually gone on my own to go see what used to be the Bronx Open tennis tournament that used to happen before.
I remember it well because I can tell you I used to do the play-by-play for that tournament.
So one of the last few I went and shot, and then I offered them up to Jordan Moss, who used to be the editor at the Norwood News. And that's how
it got started. When you started to get into it, did you realize this is like going to be my thing ultimately? Like, did you do it and say, aha, now I'm going to go? Or was it just something that developed?
It developed. I always liked the idea. And as a hobby, anything is different when you're trying to do something as a hobby than when you're doing it professionally, because professionally you don't have a choice. You have to produce the results. Right. So it's a slightly different mindset. You can't come back to your editor and say, oh, didn't work. You just have to have something. So
they're as good or as great as both of them are. There's a little bit of contrast between the way you work and the way you shoot. You always go in your mind, how can I make it a little different? I remember I think it was when President Obama came to Lehman College, and of course the place was packed with photographers and everything else, and everybody was like on the stand and taking pictures, and many of them I'm sure took great pictures. You were like somewhere else in the corner, getting an angle up here with a little something. Do you find that you're like, I'm not satisfied, like I always want to find something different, like when you look at an image or a set or a scene that you want to shoot?
Yes, what I find, and I've dropped the ball in terms of not looking at certain angles and later thinking, I didn't think of that angle. So I keep always, once I made some photographs, I have my safe shots done, then I'll start to look for options and see how far I can push it.
And you always do.
And often I'll fall on my face, but I have the safe shots. So yeah.
Let's talk to Walter, and then we're going to bring you both together about styles and equipment and things like that. So when you were telling me before, and you didn't live in the Bronx originally. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, sure.
And then when did you come to the Bronx and start work?
Well, without going into my whole life story, I'm married and divorced twice.
That was pretty much more than we needed to know, but that's
it.
okay.
My second wife lived in the Bronx, and so somewhere around 2000, I moved to the Bronx. And photography was a hobby with me.
All along the way.
Yeah, not so early. I had always thought about it. Never really did anything about it until, I don't know, the late 90s. And I got a camera and started just as a hobby.
So I guess I'll ask you the same question that I asked Adi. When you got the camera in your hand, you started taking pictures and you saw the results, of course, then it was all film photography and it probably cost you a larger fortune than it costs now. Did you get that light bulb light up and say, wow, this is really exciting? Or did it just kind of develop? He said it developed for him.
Yeah, it developed. In the beginning, when you get a camera, and you have this inspiration, and you go out with it, and then it's like, well, what am I going to take pictures of? You don't, it's like, well, I want to take these pictures, but there's, nothing that interesting in the beginning,
And then, so you got hired. Now you have worked for the Bronx Times Reporter and other Bronx publications, or just give us a little bit so people will know.
Mainly the Bronx Times Reporter.
Right.
As I said, it was a hobby, and I moved to the Bronx with my second wife, and the Bronx Times had an ad looking for photographers, and I said, let me give it a try.
Give it a shot.
And they hired me right away. I didn't have a portfolio. I just brought some pictures in, and
so I really don't want to characterize for you, but I mean I know where I've seen you, and you take kind of, I don't want to say stock photos, but real news photos, because that is what the Bronx Times does, and that you'll take a photo of a group. I can't even count how many times you probably have taken my picture along the way, but it's usually, when we're at an event and you get 10 people together. But now I want to add, because we're going to see pictures of this, you went to Africa, you went to Cuba. At what point did you do what you just said, and that is, gee, well, that's interesting, and I'm making a living at that, but wow, I want to take pictures of what I love.
Well, I think Addie will agree. When you're working for a paper, they expect a certain kind of a photo.
He is nodding yes for people.
Those are not my favorite kinds of photos. You try to make them interesting, but sometimes they're just, there's nothing there, So you do those things, and then sometimes you get an assignment that the light bulb lights up, and then now you're doing something you really like to do. But when you're on your own, doing it for yourself, then you do whatever you want. Then nobody tells you what to do.
So what? And you better get ready, because I'm going to ask you the same question. When you look at a scene, or you're in Africa, or you're in Cuba, or in the Bronx at an event, and you look at something, and I'm talking about aside from like the group photos and the photo ops, what do you look for in your mind that says, oh, I'll take a picture of that, or I'll take a picture of that, or is it undefinable?
I think as a photographer, you evolve. When you start out, you have one level of skill, and as you go on, your eye and your mind changes, and you become a photographer. And some of the things are probably undefinable. Sometimes you see things maybe differently than the average guy.
All right, then one more for him, then we're going to go the same line of questioning for your friend over here.
All right.
Do you get surprised by the results, or do you pretty much look at a scene and plan it, and then because you know what you're doing, you know how to handle the equipment, that it works? Or do you take a picture and then sometimes now of course you don't have to develop it, but you look in the back of the camera and you go, wow, look how that turned out? In other words, how much of it is planned and how much of it just turns out?
It's probably both ways. There's times when you take a picture and you think, oh, that's going to be a great one. And when you look at it, it's like, eh. And other times when you might take a shot and it's just a grab shot, a snapshot. And when you look at it, it turns out to be better.
All right. So when you go to a scene, I mean, even a news scene, and you folks are going to see some beautiful photographs that they've taken at Bronx events and other places as well. At what point do you say, aha, or do you just, nowadays with digital, you can shoot as much as you want?
So I would say, like Walter was saying, you grew as a photographer. So one of the things you sort of forget about the technical aspect, because you got control over that and you can more or less make the camera behave in a certain way, right? You look at the photograph, you realize what the problems are, and you can fix them.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing. He said that and I'm laughing because he knows that together we went on a shoot and he did a little teaching to show me some stuff. And he says that the camera does what you want. I wish my camera did what I want. His camera does what he wants. So that's another story.
Within limits, you can make it do, because what you see with your eye is different from what the camera is going to see. So you try and bring it, so you can exaggerate the difference or you can bring it close to what you're seeing. But as I mentioned earlier, my previous line of work was model making, which was very deliberate. You sat down, you designed, you thought, you did hours of work. For photography, you have to be present to the moment. So you're paying attention to what's going on. You're making photos, and then your brain is the best editor. There are certain things that will pop up. I don't know why they pop up, certain things, and you think, wait a minute, you notice something.
Or I can change the lighting or whatever it is. Now, we're going to take a break because they're telling me I have to take a break because if not, we won't have time for the photos, as interesting as this is. There are photos that you took really of the same spot, and we're going to see them in like 10 different ways. And so that is going to be a clue. And of course, Walter's pictures, wait till you see. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. We're taking a break. It is my pleasure to have my buddies Adi Talwar and Walter Pofelt on the Bronx Buzz. And we'll do the Buzz of the Week, which is going to be gorgeous photographs of the Bronx and elsewhere right after this.
Hello, good people of the Bronx and beyond. Welcome to A Life in Art.
It's not always easy being a dad.
Do you have panda asthma too? Does that run in the family?
This is the home of the most priceless kung fu artifacts.
But when you make an effort,
Dad, we're not supposed to touch anything. Oh, sorry.
Go along, son!
it's always worth it.
Whoa, master!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
I am gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Oh my God, go! Oh, Shane, look out! Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz, and we are doing photojournalists tonight. This is the moment we've been waiting for. You're going to see some really cool pictures. Walter, we're going to start with your photos. Okay, so we're just going to put them up, and then you're going to tell us what we need to know. So what do we got, Jayla and Michael? What do we got? Okay, this gorgeous picture. What is this?
This is...
And by the way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you at the end to comment on what you've seen, and then I'm going to ask you to comment on his stuff. Go ahead.
Okay. This is a picture I took in a market in Havana.
Cuba.
It was in Cuba, a working market. And this is probably the only one that I manipulated because it was very strictly backlit. So I had to do some photoshopping
to add some of the orange.
Yeah,
and some of the color.
because she was so dark in the photo, and the background was light, and there's flare in the picture.
Right.
But somehow I liked it. I liked the expression on her face. She's a woman selling flowers.
And we should probably interject. You went to Cuba partially because of the new opportunity to do so.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
also you realize, wow, what a great place to take pictures. Nobody had really ever done this.
It turned out to be that way. It turned out to be that. It was very, I don't know if you apply that word, but photogenic to a country. But
well, especially because it's certainly in American photography, it hadn't been photographed as much. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's see more.
Okay, this was in Peru, on the Amazon River, and this woman was selling some kind of a food which she wrapped in a leaf, and she would row around in this little boat, and when tourist boat came by or whatever, she would come out and sell her wares.
And what I'm sure Adi is noticing, like I'm noticing, the texture of the water and the lighting.
And the lighting
is
is
just, and it was really all natural lighting. You didn't do anything to push it. Or,
No, the
all
outdoor
right,
shots.
keep going,
yeah.
keep going. Now, what do we got? Oh
Okay.
my God. Now this was a trip to Africa.
That was Africa, yeah.
Wow.
And that's just a lioness.
And now, why or how did you get close, or did you have like a super zoom lens and you weren't that close?
200, 70 to
That's
200.
not that big.
It's not that big. The animals in Africa are pretty much used to the safaris, the Land Rovers.
Really?
And you can get amazingly close.
Incredible. And you were
They-
in a Jeep or something?
Yeah, like a big Land Rover. There's maybe 6 or 8 people in there. And there were times when we got so close to a lion or an elephant that it really surprised
well,
me.
you're going to see some more pictures. Keep going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay,
No,
that's
look at
it.
this.
Yeah.
No, frankly, I would probably be more afraid of the lion than I would be of the elephant. By the way, that picture of the lion, it was almost like somebody tapped him on the shoulder and he looked over and he was like, what? And so this obviously is an
Yeah.
elephant. Okay, keep going. Let's see the next. Let's go. Here we go.
Okay,
What is this?
that's again in Havana,
Back in
Cuba,
Havana.
the market, and just a woman selling, fruits and vegetables, and I just like the expression on her face. She's like,
It's so interesting, and I know my friend Adi is looking at it and noticing the color and noticing the color temperatures and how balanced they are and how they work together with the color of the woman's shirt.
Yes.
See, I'm answering the
Yes,
question.
exactly.
for you.
No, exactly.
Now this is just an unbelievable
Yeah.
photograph. Go ahead.
We were able to get very close to the elephants usually, and at one point we got the driver got us so close that the elephant with her calf got a little nervous, and the guide just told us just stay perfectly still and don't say anything, don't move. And we slowly backed away because the elephant was really getting, you could tell. And it was a little scary because, an elephant can just flip that vehicle over like nothing. So this wasn't the same elephant, but.
I love the light, the way
Yeah, lighting and
Yeah.
they're just adjusting my. Could we just go back to that elephant picture one more? Could we go back to that elephant picture one more time? Is that possible?
Yeah.
What our producer Jayla noticed, and I don't know if you guys could see on our monitor, but if you look closely, you can actually see the eyelashes of the elephant.
Yeah.
A fortuitous moment in photography. I'm assuming you didn't realize that at the time.
No, it's
one of those moments.
Good lens and a little bit of luck involved.
Luck and skill, but
Yeah.
that's what it takes. All right, let's keep going. So then we had something else with this Havana. Is that what we're doing?
Okay. This is Little Italy in the Bronx.
Oh, in the Bronx. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I was going to an event, and I just noticed this little girl looking at the cake and cookies in the window. And it just was one of those things where you can just grab it, the shot. You know.
So Adi, or did I already steal your thunder? I mean, any other comments on the work?
His work is beautiful, and the use of light, natural light. That elephant shot, you saw one side was lit with orange, with the setting sun. I'm assuming it was the setting sun or the rising sun.
It was,
One side is dark, and then at the back, it's all orange.
And that takes a little luck, a little skill. But you see, here's and I'm going to do it because I know them both so well. He doesn't fit with the camera and the settings as much as you do, but he gets his own. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
All right, so now they're telling me we're going to move to Adi's photos, and so let's see what do we got. I don't know what we're showing. Oh my goodness! This in the borough of the Bronx?
This is actually at Lehman College. They have this event every year called Kids Rules.
Kids
Rule.
Okay.
And this was, I think, 2013, 2014, I forget. And this is Eddie. He's a magician. I think he studied at Lehman College, and he's back. He comes back and does this finale sort of thing for that event.
There's a certain, I'll use the word tension, but there's a certain drama in this and certainly it's almost like you could look at individual faces, but it's just kind of almost a bouquet.
On stage taking it.
Yeah, so I was a little shameless. I sort of...
a little shameless? You're always shameless. You see him up there with the lights and excuse me. And All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I know these guys too well. I think I've seen this photograph before.
Yes, I did this for the Norwood News. This event happened a few months ago at the Oval. It's the Family Fitness Day. Yeah. And I walked in and took the camera out, and I live by the Oval Park. And this was happening. I got down on my knees, and this was the second shot I took.
Wow. And this goes back to what he was saying about being shameless. He's literally under the parachute with the kids.
That's great composition because of the radial lines and her head like in the center.
It was right there in the center of it, of course. Yeah. Okay, I would shoot about 1,000 photographs to get her head in the center. Go ahead.
So no, but that all just happened, like I said.
Now this is a scene. You've been to this spot either once and took a lot of different photos, or you've been back to that spot several times.
This is a view. This is a view from our living room window, and this is the building right across the street. And this was a sunset that happened a few months ago, and a bunch of my friends on Instagram posted photos of that cloud from all over the Bronx. And yes, and I have processed it a little, pushed the color a little. Yes, this is not what came directly out, because normally if you're shooting a JPEG, the camera will just do a certain standard
a balance and those kinds of things. Yeah. But all right, keep going. I want to see more from that spot. This is the one that blows me away, because if you look at a child's cartoon, or if you look at like a Shining Time Station with a little train, this looks like a train. Now, you were lucky enough to get the rainbow that day?
Yes, it was two. And this again was a few months ago. And if you remember, on one of your shows a couple of years ago,
I thought it was the same photo.
That's a different photo.
Wow. And that building almost like has a face and a smile on it, of course, looking to the right. Oh my goodness, how beautiful. Yes. Cherie, right? It's nice, right? Cherie's one of our crew members, and she's like really enjoying it. And this
was actually shot in 2010, I think.
In 2010. Yeah. Now, did you do like a rapid flash, or did you get lucky?
So I just waited, in the sense I was doing long exposures and hoping that the lightning would strike during those long exposures. Wow. And I got lucky. Many shots. I was there the whole evening just doing that.
I could do that for 10 years and not get it. Maybe even you too, Walter. That's pretty good work. All right, keep going. Keep going. What do we got? I love this. I love these guys.
So this is a school that had moved. It's a charter school, the Bronx Community Charter School. In my neighborhood, and they were celebrating moving to the new school, so the school came out and did this whole walk around, and I really liked this moment, which I didn't know that I had captured this when I'd shot it. I was shooting, and then later when I saw this, I saw the child sort of covering her ears.
With the fingers in the ears.
Fingers in the ears, right. You can almost miss that if you don't really see it, but the joy that shines through. And the other thing for me is, as somebody who lives and works and covers the Bronx, this is the kind of moment that that people don't realize we have all the time.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, of course, of photojournalism. Keep going. Keep going. Sorry, I don't want to see us. I want to see. Oh my goodness.
This is
These are our kids, boy. Thank you for taking their pictures.
No, and these kids are growing up every year. They're bigger, right? So this was a couple of years ago. This was right by the library in my area, Wayland Park, and they organized. The Friends of the Oval actually organized a park, a Halloween party at the Wayland Park, and
making ordinary photos or ordinary moments look spectacular because they are spectacular.
They are.
In other words, you both do it. You could walk down your block, you could look out your window every day, certainly in our beautiful borough of the Bronx, and see. So now we're running out of time. Let's do another 30 seconds of this and then I'll close the show. What is this?
This was a Jewish festival a couple of years ago in Norwood. Okay. At the Jewish Center. This was in the basement.
At the Jewish Center?
Yeah, in the basement. And I went in there to cover it. And there were so many moments. I did a full photo essay. This is just one of the moments.
Right. And the joy that comes through the pictures. Oh my goodness. What else? We got one more? Time for one more? One more, please. Oh, what a great way to end.
Yes. Now this is Kingsbridge Heights. It was
the community center.
Community center. This was a thing celebrating spring, and I was there.
Did you push the colors at all? Like even get the blue in the back, which is so vibrant.
Yeah. So when I process my photographs, I will push the colors.
All right, Walter will give you the final word. Amazing work, right?
Very nice stuff. Very good. Excellent.
Adi Talwar and Walter Porfeld, thank you so much for joining us. Anything next or anything coming up that you want to mention, either of you?
I'd like to thank you. And there'll definitely be more projects.
I'll see you guys out there.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Great. You guys we'll see you out in the streets and where you belong. Taking our pictures. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for the Bronx Buzz. We'll see you next week. We'll be back here. I don't know who will be around our round table, but we'll come up with something, and we'll talk more with people who cover and photograph the borough of the Bronx. We'll see you Monday night on Bronx Talk. Good night.